Hey, collective. Welcome back to Oracle Rose Healing Tarot. So glad to have you guys back. I've been out for a while. Let me tell you, I've been going through a lot of ascension symptoms. I've been dealing with downloads and a lot of fatigue and a lot of stuff that's going on. However, that has made me ramp up all the guided tarot messages that have come to me from, meditations and from also free writes and things of that nature. So today, what we're going to be talking about, as you can see, is detaching. I got detached out there because, as you know, as we closing out cycles, some of the detachment is real out here. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social media where people have been talking about how they're going to get away from people. And then the collective message out there has been always about the karmics who are still chasing after you, even though you don't want them. They don't even know how to detach. So today, what we're going to be talking about, because we're here talking about healing and getting forward and not getting stuck and stagnant in energy that's not going to help you. We're going to be talking about how to do that in a healthy way and also stay on your spiritual journey. Okay. Now, the way that I looked it up, it came from I've been dipping in the Akashic records, y'all. I've been guided to do so by the spirit guides and the ancestors. All right. I'm not just going in there trying to mine it. I go directly looking for what I'm guided to go look for. Okay. Let's just see what we got going on over here because it's like a disco inferno. But hey, we are here. We are getting our smoke from our sage over there. I get those from Amazon. Those are really good. But let me just tell you here before we get started, as you already know, I like to just tell you a little bit about what we're going to do and then what have you. But my understanding from the Akashic records is that, detachment is about self ownership, not coldness, not, matching energy. It's not, you're not avoiding people, you're not acting all superior, no fear, no energy warfare, just being clear, having clarity, compassion, and inner steadiness. Okay. So that's what this is about. This is about you getting back your emotional sovereignty. This ain't about you doing anything crazy. Okay. All right. So let me just tell you here, the disconnection can be real, but detachment is that not that. And it's the ability to remain fully yourself while, allowing others to be who they are. All right. And many people confuse love with merging and caretaking and all that over emotional over responsibility. But I'm learning even in myself, even as a young mother, that true love is about spiritual maturity and it comes from self ownership. Nobody owns you. Okay. It's self ownership. But before we get started, guys, as you know, I like to go ahead and ring the bell, clear the space, and ask our ancestors for a guide. And so let's just get started here. I give thanks to the Most High Divine Spirit for being here and for surrounding us with healing energy and for guiding today's messages by the grace of the Most High and the Holy Spirit. This space is filled with love, light, peace, and all energies that do not serve our highest good are transmuted into love, healing, and renewing energy. Now let's step into this reading together. Okay. All right, so let me just get this out the way here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the deck and we're gonna get us a lead card out here. Now this spread here, this one's called the healthy detachment and emotional sovereignty. All right. And so we're going to be talking about all the stuff that, that keeps you attached in any kind of attachment. It can be family, it don't matter. It ain't always about being romantic or what have you. Okay. So the first card out, our lead card, is just going to show us where you are emotionally attached. All right. So let's just get a lead card out and we'll hold on. I didn't know. I didn't even get a chance to even. I'm gonna it kind of jumped out there, but I'm using this deck called the Lucky Journey Tarot deck, and then also I got the What's the Tea Oracle going on out there. So we're gonna be woo, I don't know, my fault. I just had that was a confirmation. I had something to fall and I started shuffling again because how the cards came out. But anyway, I'm a little fired up. My energy is high. but it's coming out right now where we got a 10 of cups in reverse. Okay, so we're talking about 10 of cups in reverse. All right, and so when it comes in reverse, you might be looking at loss or betrayal or breakups. Okay, and that might be a cause for detachment. Okay, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about loss. We're talking about detaching from people who are no longer, needs to be in our energy for whatever reason. It's just not healthy for you. You can't see past it. You can't find harmony with them. But coming out in the reverse, that means that there's a growing awareness of emotional overreach. Okay. And so this card just shows you where you feel responsible for others' emotions. So maybe when you detach from people, or or you feel like you're breaking up with them or losing them some way, you might feel guilty. I feel that way when it comes to family. I don't feel that way in romantic relationships, but in because by the time I release somebody from something romantic, they should have been gone long before. But new me, you ain't even getting in the door. But what we're coming to around this could be around like when it's hard, when it's like family or best friends, or people that you consider yourself close to, but for some reason, somehow, some way, you can't stay in harmony with them, or the relationship with them gets in the way with your relationship with maybe their children, or maybe their husband, or maybe their wife, or whatever, the other people in the family that you're not having a problem with. That can be an issue, but I'm going to give you a technique, and what I've learned to do is the ownership question. Okay, when you're looking at any kind of energy that you need to detach from, the first thing you're going to ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Is this my energy, or is this their energy? Because you got to remember where you were before you made a connection with them. Were you having an energy with them that was, coherent, or resonating, or, and I was going to also say for these messages too, these are general messages. So take what resonates. And if it doesn't resonate, just let it roll off your shoulder and leave the rest for everybody else, because everything's not going to be for you, even though we're out here in the first card. But that's the question to ask yourself. You say no, it's not mine to carry, then don't worry about it. Give it back to the owner, rightful owner, and tell them to get the step in, because we're not doing that. All right, because we're out here trying to get our lives together. All right. So the next card is the fear that's beneath that attachment. That 10 of cups in reverse attachment. What is the fear, spirit? Tell us about that. Where is that coming from? Well, I ain't taking all. Oh my goodness. Well, let's put them back. But let's just see here. We're gonna ask spirit. What's the fear coming from? And I say, hey. And spirit said, hey, it's coming from a 2 of Swords energy. All right. So your 2 of Swords, when you got these 2 of Swords out here coming out in the upright, this is just basically a stalemate or a crossroad. You might have a problem making a decision. You and somebody might be bumping heads. You know what I'm saying? Swords is all about, we're having some communication issues. And so, of course, in most cases that could be, in most cases you just could have varying communication styles with people, but two people in a conversation at least has to be, they have to have respect for each other to get around in any kind of communication style. And if that's not happening, then you can't do anything but detach. Okay. But the fear could come from feeling of abandonment or rejection or even conflict. You know what I'm saying? And attachment also often it comes from fear. You attach based on fear. You know what I mean? But you got to remember, in the healing journey, and I've said this over and over again, fear is not a divine energy. So if you're going to have fear, you're going to have to learn how to transmute that, because that is not a divine energy. That is a known entity that's not of the divine. So you're going to have to transmute that and not let it overtake you. Okay. So the technique, you can use some reassurance statements. You can always let yourself know, I am safe, even when others feel, discomfort. They might feel a little frustrated. They might be getting riled up, getting rah-rah, getting loud because they don't have any emotional regulation. But what they gonna do? Wild out because they feeling something? Some people do, and then you see what happens. There's laws against all of it. People think they can just get wild, get crazy, and do whatever because their energy is, they don't know how to handle it. But hey, everybody's going to always be responsible for what they do. Okay. Now, let me tell you where this leaves you, where this leaves yourself in a relationship like this. With this kind of Ten of Cups in reverse and Two of Swords energy, you see it's all kind of conflict. You got your feelings spilling everywhere, and then you got conflict going on. So where does this lead? And Spirits gave me two. Let's get one out of here. And Spirit says this is going to leave you in a Six of Wands. Okay. And I just got these cards, so sometimes I got to look at them a little hard. Okay. Now, we're looking at this, if there's some achievement with the Six of Wands. You know what I'm saying? If you detach from something like this, you're going to feel like you've made some kind of achievement, you know. But if you do not attach, you're not going to feel like you achieved anything. You're just going to keep going around in a circle and a circle. Believe me, I've gone around for years in a cycle just because people were family. It did not feel good to even know them. Anything I would try to improve it, I was being accused of being fake, and they were projecting on me that I wasn't real. They wouldn't accept my expansion. They wouldn't accept my growth. And what this is telling you here, that where you leave yourself in a relationship, you can't do self abandonment. You just cannot do it. You know what I'm saying? You can't silence your needs. You can't shrink. You can't over explain. And sometimes we do that for family. And they see us doing it, and they become like accustomed to it, wanting us to like always soothe them because they have no ways of knowing how to self-soothe themselves, or their whole self-soothing considers either fight or flight or just stop talking to me. They can't continue. You know what I'm saying? But what this is saying here, one of the techniques I use, body anchor. Feel your feet, ground yourself. Say it. I stay with myself. These people trying to pull me all over the place because they have no regulation. Their emotions are everywhere. This is not what you want. You want to stay clear. You want to stay grounded. You want to stay peaceful. You want to stay in receiving mode. And if you're giving off this kind of energy to people and they're just gonna send it back to you by saying it's fake and it's not real or all of that, they're not worth it. They're not worth your efforts. They're not worth your energy. If they're just going to keep meeting your harmony with pain or with more combative energy, get up out of there. You don't need it. You don't need it at all. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you the next question for this was what detachment would look like in this energy, and so we're gonna ask Spirit. Once we can realize what's going on here, what's the detachment mode we need on this? And so Spirit says, go ahead. And the moon then came out here. Now, we already know when it comes to the moon, we're sitting up here thinking about illusions, dreams, illumination, intuition. So basically, what's going to happen, I say you're going to gain some clarity. Clarity, you're going to listen to your intuition. Your intuition, you're going to be able to hear it now that you're not always in constant arguments with somebody who's on a repeated broken record cycle loop, spewing and having the same argument with you over and over, or these energies that just are just combative and they don't know no peace. They don't know the benefits of having a regulated nervous system. You know what I mean? They think everything has to be chemically um, balanced, but that's not it. What Spirit is saying here is that if you can figure it out, if you can move this energy around and transmute it and detach, you'll be able to get into your intuition more. You'll be able to get into it. You'll be knowing what you need to know. Okay? And that's what it's going to look like here. This card reveals the healthy balance point. Y'all in your intuition. Ain't nothing hidden. This says hidden, but it ain't going to be hidden from you. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have clear boundaries. You keep a compassionate distance from people, and it's gonna keep your presence calm. Okay, and that's what you want. You're gonna be in that unbothered energy. The bothered always want the unbothered to join them, and no one really wants to be like that with them. You know what I'm saying? One of the techniques I always use, you already know, you get your boundaries, you do your affirmations. I don't think I've handled my last situation where I had to detach in the best way. But once I got myself together, I said I can care without carrying all of this. It's way too far to carry this. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it. It's enough. I'm not gonna say what I can't do. I'm gonna say what I don't want to do. I don't want to carry it. You know what I mean? And so basically, you just say, I can care without carrying their emotions, and you can move on. Okay. All right. You can do that. All right. And then you got to remember too, we can't fix nobody. And I know that I was trying to have that problem that whole time. In my apology, I was talking about I was just trying to help because Oracle Rose Healing Tarot. I always say we participate in our own rescue, but when it's family, it's so close to heart. Oh my goodness, I thought I had to be Harriet Tubman to the situation. You know what I'm saying? But I realize now, no, there's other ways to help. Okay, but the question came was where spirit was showing me where I try to fix others, and so that's the next card out for this reading. The spirit, where are we trying to fix others? Tell us. And it came out death in reverse. Okay, now death usually means that it doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean that it's going to be actual death or anything. It could just be that something is changing and it's moving on or what have you. You know what I mean? It endings, beginnings, change. But when it comes out in a reverse, that means it can be stagnated. It can be immobility, slow changes, destruction or whatever it is. And that's probably where we try to fix others at, where we see their life is being stagnated. I'm going to tell you the truth. That's exactly where I begin to involve that, especially when it comes to family and those who I love, when I just see them spinning their wheels and they don't seem like they're moving forward. And I'm just like, you can't see this. You can't see this. You don't see how wonderful you are. Believe me, you can't do it. Rescuing others and trying to overguide and emotional management them, you will get beat up. You will get beat up trying to care more than they can or had a capacity to do so in that moment. I would suggest to continue to always have compassion for yourself and others, even when they can't receive from you. They're not in a receiving mode. You got to remember, this kind of energy can't occupy the same space as calm, peaceful energy, which is actually receiving energy. All right. So, with that in mind, if you just keep that, just remember that, fixing others block detaching from them. And so that's what I decided to do, especially with my beautiful, beautiful family. They are very grown and very capable. I was just like, you know what? Mom's the mom. So, the offspring should be, they should be in there. I got good faith in them. So I've decided to detach. Okay. It's gonna work out. It's gonna be okay. All right. And so one of my techniques I tried, little release statement. This journey, their journey is theirs. Matter of fact, I told everybody, yours is yours. Okay. Mama will be made available in ways in which Mama gives from overflow. And also here at Oracle Rose Healing Tarot, I also give from overflow, where we tap into our spirit guides who helps us out. So the spirit guides will say how you can stay compassionate without merging. Like, you're gonna want to come back, you're gonna be feeling good. And spirit says, Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles energy. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, why Eight of Pentacles? Because, you got to master the skill, I guess, of detaching. You got to have to teach or learn and then teach others how your detachment style is relative to the betterment of what's going on with you. All right. And you're going to have to teach them about the new you, how you're not always accessible. Just like you had to detach from them, you also not easily accessible. It's gonna be hard. You know what I'm saying? but you can still stay compassionate. You know what I'm saying? And so basically, here, this is telling you that empathy with emotional steadiness is what you're going to have to remember to do. You're going to have to keep your empathy there, but make sure you stay grounded on the inside. You know, we're not mad, we're not angry, we're not trying to do anything to anyone. All right. Detachment keeps your heart open anyway, not closed. You know, a lot of people don't believe that, but it is true. You detach, you're not closed off on people because you're not mad about anything. If they're still upset, they're upset about something that happened 20 years ago. And if you have somebody still mad at you and talking to you about something that happened 20 years ago, believe me, there's no conversation you can have with them that would be helpful. You're not the right person that they need to be speaking to at that moment. So you need to realize that. So just say a prayer for them and hope that they get the help that they need. But what this tells us here, I use a technique called a 3 breath reset. All right. You know that whole grounding breath where you got that slow inhale, slow exhale to just return to your center. And you kind of do that 3 times. All these have been proven techniques to help. You know what I mean? And so, and I use them daily. All right. But I'm gonna tell you, there's gonna be some things that I had to release to detach. And so that was the next question that came up. I'm asking spirit, what are the holy angels and spirit, what are the things we need to detach? All right. And so a 9 of cups came out of here. So you already know cups is feelings, okay? And so in the reverse, you're gonna have to release that you might not get what you want when you detach from people. You might not get that relationship you want. Your wishes may not be fulfilled, whatever it is that you wish to be around that person. You're not going to get what you want. And you got to be okay with that. Okay. You're going to have to be okay with, you know, not getting what you want. All right. And also, um, you know, and being okay with that. This but releasing is you're already getting there. If you can get this in your head that things may not, as long as your peace stay and you protect that, that's about as best you're gonna get. you know but this shows us that what can keep you entangled if you keep your mind and try and get your way with somebody, it's gonna keep you tangled up. All right. So you gotta do something. You gotta catch yourself in awareness and you gotta say, what's going on here? A lot of people are so thinking if they control others, their life would be better. That is so far from it. That's so far from the truth. You know what I mean? So you gotta be willing to detach when you know it's gonna best serve you, and so you can get to your higher self. If not, your energies are gonna be, when I say drained, it's going to be a mess. And we don't want that because we're healing. You know what I mean? So, one of the techniques that I use is called a permission phrase. I'm allowed to choose peace. I am allowed to choose peace. Who gonna check me, boo? Nobody. Nobody. Try it. Because who's gonna tell you you don't deserve peace? Well, go ahead and identify yourself, Satan, right then and there. Because we divine. We all deserve peace. Matter of fact, disturbing the peace is actually a law that can be broken. Come on now. Don't let your family fool you. All right. So after all this goes, because we've been in a mode where we just been around dealing with people, you know what I'm saying, and dealing with their energies jumping on us to the point where we got to detach. You got to start saying to myself, how can I rebuild some self-trust? We be loving these people and missing them, but we don't want to get back in the same thing. And you got to learn how to trust yourself. And I was asking spirit, how can I trust myself? So I'm gonna ask for us collective, how can we trust ourselves? And so the Wheel of Fortune in reverse? Why the Wheel of Fortune in reverse? Hmm. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. But usually when the Wheel of Fortune is going the right way, everything seems to be okay. But in reverse, you could be going against the flow. And so it could cause a struggle. And you know how a wheel get the because it's not going the right way. It's catching. And so when I see this in reverse, you got to remember that, you're going to have those moments where you want to go like that wheel and you want to go back. You want to catch that, you see if you can fix it again or check again to see if detaching a little bit works. So you roll back a little bit, like how they say at Walmart, you roll back and you see if it worked. I've rolled back many a times to see if it worked, and I've always been met with the same stagnant energy on the other side from the other person. Okay, so in this event, I'm gonna just tell you that detachment strengthens with inner knowing. Okay, so as you start to become more aware and that you're doing what you're doing, that can, that your wheel is going backwards, that you might be getting in that territory where you might be rolling backwards on someone's toes or rolling backwards into a situation you don't need to be. Having that awareness is going to get you out of that. And how you do that, you're going to have to do the technique I use is called like daily checking in with myself. You're going to have to ask yourself, what do I feel right now? Especially before you try to reattach or even engage with someone you detach from. Even when you get the feelings of maybe you want to, it could be an old lover, it could be family members, it could be, brother, sister, it could be, old co-workers. It don't matter. It was energy that you could have been codependent with or had some kind of weird attachment style. I ain't gonna say weird, I'm gonna say unhealthy. But unhealthy attachment style. And now that you're more cognizant and aware, there's gonna be times when you're feeling so good and you're just flowing. You're gonna hope that things are better on the other side. And so in this case, always check in with yourself and make sure that's a good move before you do that. All right. So some of daily practices for maintaining detachment, Spirit says here, lovers in reverse. Well, of course, because if we're talking about detachment, we ain't talking about no lovers getting together. We're not talking about that. We're actually talking about, separation. And that's what it is. You might feel like you have a lack of support when you detach. And that's not the case because, we're divine beings out here. We don't never have a lack of support. But right here, I'm going to take this as, um, you know, sometimes uh, inconsistency can cause you to reattach. You know how you keep getting back and going back to those situations that you already know have no good energy in them. They have no good outcome to them. But somehow, some way, fear keeps driving you back to those people, places, and things that you know you shouldn't even be around, and you're having a hard time detaching, and you're wanting to blame being pulled or whatever. Well, you are sovereign in your own energy, okay? And so basically, this is just what this is telling me here is that this is keeping you. You got to remember to stay steady in relationships. You got to remember where you're at and how you're moving. All right. All right. And inconsistency will cause you, if you're inconsistent with yourself, that's red flag number one. And anything you do to yourself, anything after that follows will fail. You must always start out with being good with yourself. Okay. So one of the techniques I use is called my morning reminder, where I wake up and I say, I belong to myself today. I belong to the Most High. I belong to the Divine Most High. And in my sovereignty, my free will, I belong to myself. Who's going to check? Who's going to check you? Nobody collective. All right. So now you at emotional sovereignty with this last card out. And so I'm a shuffle it because I wasn't even ready. I didn't even ask a question. I'm gonna put it back in the deck. And if it comes out again, I'll take it. But the emotionally sovereign us, okay? Emotionally sovereign us is the Queen of Cups energy. And this is what we're talking about. We got compassion and healing, which we're mature, we're nurturing. You know what I'm saying? We got it going on. We know how to be in our emotions now because we've learned how to in our emotionally sovereign self, we're talking about focusing our energy on our focal point on us and our energy. Okay. This is who you become when you detach and it's embodied. When you embody that whole detachment from others and being led around others by others' energy, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like when you play with a cat with one of those little lasers being led around with everybody's energy. You don't want that. You want to be the emotionally sovereign you. All right. And this is who you become. You be in this Queen of Cups energy where you are mature. You know what's going on. You know you heal. You came to Oracle Horror's healing. You participated in your own rescue, and this is what happened. You're calm, you're loving, you're self-contained, and you're emotionally free and unbothered. That's what's up, you know? And one of the things I usually do too, because I always think about, once I become aware of how calm I am and where I'm at, I'm like, I see myself going into the future. So I look at myself in the future. I visualize myself, my sovereign self, saying, stay here with me. Because I'm not trying to go back. I'm not trying to go back where I got people who are doing the most around me and driving me insane. Okay. All right. So I thought it would be fun to get some of these what's the T cards out there. I usually do the Oracle Rose one. Oracle decks where we do the healing, but I wanted to be a little messy to see because we're talking about detachment. So we're gonna pull out some of these things that spirits say you got to do in the detachment. First card out, a couple of cards. Detachment. Moving on. Thank you, next. Thank you, spirit. The other card that came up was ego. You got anybody who coming up with a hurt ego getting in the way of the relationship or whatever. Detach. That's what spirit is saying. Spirit said if it's played out, them people still running the same. You hurt me in 1973. You hurt me in 2002. Way back when if they don't want to go to a therapist, it's played out. Detach. You ain't got time for that. What else we got going on, spirit? What else we got going on? Tell us. And I'm just saying, there's a lot of energies out here that's gonna keep trying to bring you down. And if those people can't realize what they out here admitting to the world, that's only gonna boomerang back to them tenfold, it's not on you, collective. You're gonna have to detach. And so spirit is gonna give us some more instances where we need to detach. When you get thieves coming up around you and they robbing you of your energy, or you feel like you're losing out, or you feel like there's a theft of energy, even a physical theft or emotional theft, detach. Get them up out of there. They gotta go. They gotta go. Spirit said, who else, spirit? Who else gotta get up out of our energy? Let us know, spirit. Oh wow. Spirit said, oh wow, I gotta get this one out. I had a few of them come out. We taking all of these. Spirit said, get that stalker up out of there that's watching and obsessed all on your social media page, all the neighbors all peeping, whoever. Detach. They have they got nothing on you. Nothing on you. Okay? They got nothing on you. Who else, Spirit? All right. Spirit says, and go travel. Detach and go travel. Hey, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. We're gonna get one more out of here. What else can you tell us, Spirit, in our detachment? Who to detach from, or what to do while we're detaching? And Spirit says, and these too many. I'm gonna take it. Let's see what Spirit. Oh, this one jumped on me. Spirit said, whoever out here giving screenshots and evidence and proof and all that on you and showing it to other people and whatever it is, trying to prove their case against you, but they out here the ones being bratty and can't get past and can't resolve and can't move forward and can't be in divine energy. Spirit says detach. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, you do not detach to love less, okay? You detach to love without losing yourself. You're not responsible for managing anyone else in a world or what's going on in their little movies in their head or any role that they assigned you in their world or in their movie in their head. You are responsible for honoring your own inner world. All right. And when you do, love becomes lighter, relationships become clearer, and your spirit becomes free. I guarantee you, try it out. What's gonna hurt you? I don't think not a thing. So collective, I'm gonna say if this reading supported you in any way, please like, share, and subscribe to support Oracle Rose Healing Tarot. I'm just getting started up. I got a lot going on in life, but I'm committed to being with my channel now. When I say I got so many great readings coming up where we're gonna be healing and we're gonna be moving on into our best light and energy and receiving all our pinnacles, we on our way. So always remember, here at Oracle Rose Healing Tarot, we love you and keep walking in your light.